You're listening to Galaxy of Film.
Alright guys, welcome back to the brain of Galaxy of Film. I'm of course your host Max, joined by none other than his co-host Akira Holder. How's it going, bro?
Going good, man. Can't complain. Grateful to be alive. How about you?
Doing alright. That was quick as shit. Doing alright, man. Doing alright. Surviving. I don't have any brisk today, dude. Instead, I'm drinking... This is a fucking... I thought this was LaCroix. I'm drinking a clear American strawberry water. That's...
Okay.
I don't know what's clear American by this shit, dude. But hey, it's the sparkling water. So I'm out of brisk. Drinking on that. That tells you how my week's been. I know. Don't have any real sweet tea. Don't have any brisk here. It's a struggle up in Idaho, dude. But here we are, surviving nonetheless. Got another episode of Galaxy of Film for you guys, of course. And this week we're discussing classic anime films with none other than Akira and Ghost in the Shell. We've got our first recurring guest star for this season, coming back from our last seasons. From all the fucking seasons, actually. It's been here since season 1. So we got a good show for everyone this week, dude. But yeah, before we dive into everything, let's do a little bit of housekeeping, Akari. I know you're pretty excited to go ahead and talk about a little something that we teased last week. We have a date this week, though. Can you go ahead and kick this off for us?
Yeah, so, I'm not sure. Wait, so you referring to the films, right?
Yeah, I'm referring to your movie.
Just to be clear, just to make sure, because today was a interesting day for me. Okay, so we're looking to put out Man of the House on the 19th of this month. We're looking to put it out on the 19th of this month, so be on the lookout for character posters and trailers before that, release date for sure.
Only the best here at Galaxy of Film, dude. I swear to God.
Oh yeah, man.
Gotta love it, dude. Gotta love it. Also, for our Patreon members, if you're listening to this today, which is the 11th of September, wow, that sentence didn't age well. But yeah, if you're listening to this episode day of the podcast, check out our Patreon, because Man of the House is available right there right now, early access for Patreon members. And then on the 14th of this month, we also have it going to our fan club over on Facebook. Of course, links down below for both of those things. We also have another film dropping next month, Acts of Violence. Of course, this is the, I don't want to call it directorial debut of Will, because he's co-directed a lot of stuff in live action. I'm sure he's directed solo stuff before the whole merger, and then also he released The Artist, which is an analog horror film. But this is his first time solo directing horror in live action, I think. So yeah, it's a big project regardless. He's been working on, very passionate on. It's called Acts of Violence. They'll be releasing October 10th, so check that out when it comes out. We'll have more information in just a few weeks about it. But yeah, we also have the GoFundMe link down below. If you want to go ahead and support the film that Dakar and I are both working on together. Would you like fries with that? But also it does cover another film that I just announced on social media yesterday. The working title is Project News. And dude, Dakar, you and I have had the pleasure of working with some really talented people within the community over the last several years. And this film, to me, this film is a celebration of independent filmmaking at its finest. But more importantly, it's a celebration of the independent artists that we love directly. The ones that we really want to see succeed in life and with their art and their craft and going forward. The ones that we are on the sidelines rooting for, we've got involved with this film. And this is not only a celebration of everything that you've seen here at Galaxy of Film, but everything that you've seen within these communities. So Opal 99 is working on this, Megapixel Productions is working on this. We have so many people coming around back for this film. I'm so excited. All the cast that we announced yesterday, while there are a couple new faces if you're familiar with all of our films, everyone who we announced has been directly involved with Galaxy of Film in some way, shape, or form previously. Matter of fact, I think the main new faces we see is Lily Vett, who made her appearance on the podcast for the first time like 2 months ago. We got her in a film already, dude. So we move fucking quick. We got a great cast, great crew lined up for that one. It's a lot of fun. Can't wait for you guys to see that at some point next year. It's a really big project. A lot of people we're working on with. So we really want to take our time and get that finished. But like I said, if you want to help support these films, link down below to the GoFundMe. That's going to be running until about end of September or so. But moving on to the news this week, dude. This is something we haven't talked about yet on the podcast, I think. Dakari, you and I are in our mid-20s. We grew up watching the Teen Titans show. Obviously, there's a follow-up show, Teens Titan Go, that kind of came out years later. So I know that, like, it's still relevant. It's still being made. It's still, a spiritual successor. But, like, we haven't seen it go beyond Teen Titans Go to another format just yet. But regardless of that, Teens Titan Go has featured the same voice talent as the original Teens Titans. So it has the same heart. It's a different feel, though. It's a bit more of a cartoon compared to almost like an anime-inspired show like the original one was. But regardless, dude, this piece of news is infuriating. Greg Sipes, who voices Beast Boy in both the shows, was fired from Warner Brothers. And he claims it was right after he publicly announced his diagnosis of Parkinson's disease. First of all, I had no clue that Greg Sipes was even diagnosed with Parkinson's. We've had a chance to talk about before a little bit about this with Michael J. Fox, obviously, with how heartbreaking and how strong he is for persevering for all these years. But it's something that I've kind of been a little bit more aware of thanks to the Apple TV show Shrinking, because Harrison Ford's character deals with Parkinson's. And coincidentally, with this next season as well, Michael J. Fox is coming out of retirement to kind of help shed light on Parkinson's within this show as well, too. So this one just sucks, dude. Like, this is a pretty relevant thing, it feels like. And to see this kind of like pop up in this way and then just be kind of like sidelined and cast off by Warner Brothers is heartbreaking. This guy literally has been here voicing this character for 20-something years at this point, which is nuts. And for it to take place immediately after the diagnosis posting, it's just shitty. I don't know why he was fired. I think that piece of information is getting kind of lost to what's going on. I'm hoping it's not some crazy like allegation or scandal going on. I doubt it is. But regardless, like, this piece of news really, really blows. What are your thoughts on this, Dakari?
Yeah, I didn't realize he had Parkinson's disease. That's crazy.
That was my Apple Watch for some fucking reason. Can you say that one more time, dude? I don't know why Siri just
I didn't realize he had Parkinson's disease. That's interesting.
Yeah, dude. It's heartbreaking, genuinely. Oh my god. What are your thoughts on the firing, though?
Shit. Whatever. I don't know, because I haven't really followed that too well. But whatever they do, I hope they do it with a purpose, because, like, the industry is really not that it's really not, in good standing overall. Like, it's not doing that well. So I really hope they make something out of it, because they gotta make ends meet, pretty much.
Yeah, it's something, dude. Before we go ahead and start talking about our classic anime films this week and cut to break to go over our stream of the week, it is, of course, the time when we go over the podcast poll. We've got 2 podcast polls put out this past week for our topics, which is, of course, Akira and Ghost in the Shell. Dakari, if you want to pull up the one on Instagram, I'll pull up the one on YouTube. We got going on here. And the question I specifically asked on YouTube was, which classic anime film do you have more nostalgia for? 29% says Akira, and then also 71% says Ghost in the Shell. I'm kind of shocked, dude, because Akira is one of those films that, like, we've seen the influences throughout so many different forms of art, like not just music, not just film, not just television, but just everything. This is my first time watching both of these films, but like seeing and just knowing the reputation and presence Akira has is crazy that this kind of, lost the poll, if you will, to Ghost in the Shell. But as someone who, and you guys will hear our thoughts soon on these films, obviously, but as someone who really appreciated Ghost in the Shell and what that movie had to say, I'm a little bit proud for Ghost in the Shell for winning this poll. But what are we looking over on Instagram, Bakari?
Instagram, Akira has 8 votes and Ghost in the Shell has 7 votes.
Oh, okay, a bit tighter at least. Okay.
Yeah. I find that interesting.
Okay. Why do you find that interesting?
Because, like you said, people people are automatically going to garner more interest towards Akira, but these days, it seems like people cater more towards things like Ghost in the Shell because it's akin to, material like The Matrix. But then again, it also makes sense for people to think Akira.
Yeah, I mean, we'll dive into our thoughts in just a moment about it and kind of go on our own poll, if you will. But regardless, guys, every Sunday, check out our social media to be part of the podcast poll. We do discuss all answers here on the podcast weekly. Like I said, Sundays, we're getting better about it. We're trying here.
Certainly.
But let's go ahead and take a quick little break, Dakar. We're going to go ahead and go over our Stream of the Week, brought to you by none other than Shamim himself this week. When we come back, we're going to be diving down these anime classics with our buddy, Curtis. So we'll be right back, guys.
Oh, hi, Mark.
Our rating system is inspired by the planets from the Star Wars films. From highest to lowest, this is how we do our rankings. Number 5.
Coruscant. The entire planet is one big city.
Number 4.
Bespin. We're pretty far, but I think we can make it.
Number 3.
Hold me like you did by the lake on Naboo.
Number 2.
Set your course for the Hoth system.
And lastly, number 1.
Back to why does everyone want to go back to Jakku?
Hey guys, this is the Autograph King here, and today I'm going to be doing the Stream of the Week of an oldie but goodie. This is it, starring Michael Jackson, directed by the one and only Kenny Ortega, who directed the High School Musical franchise. What I like about this was to see the crimps of Michael's last rehearsal for the tour. For those who are fans of Michael Jackson, it's very good. See how, and that is the Stream of the Week for This Is It, directed by Kenny Ortega, starring Michael Jackson. And that's it.
Alright guys, we're back from our break. Before we go ahead and start discussing some classic anime films this week, I do want to go ahead and reintroduce someone. We have our first guest star who's coming back from previous seasons. We have none other than the triumphant return of Curtis. How's it going, bro?
Doing good, man. Always happy to be here. It's been a hot minute since I've been here, but no, it's good to be back, man. How you doing?
Doing all right. I'm surviving, man. You're right. It's been a hot minute. I think off air, you and I were just talking about how it's been since like Skeleton Crew, I think, which feels like a whole lifetime ago.
It feels like a year ago.
Yeah, dude. God. But it's good to get you back on here. I know this is an episode, that you're of course very passionate about. You've always been like the big anime guest that we've had on the podcast since forever. But a little fun fact, as we were talking about, people coming back and forth on the podcast over the years earlier, this episode right here, Curtis, is something I believe you suggested we do during like season 1, and it's just sat here on our like episode list for years and years. So finally coming around, cleaning up our dirty laundry, if you will, in our podcast schedule sheet, and finally coming through and discussing these classic films. So before we dive into these things, dude, give us a little bit of history with yourself and with anime, how much you've, consumed this over all your life, and where these kind of films fit in with you with your childhood.
Sure. So I think I had watched some anime here and there, like when I was a lot younger, because I would have Toonami on, and then late night she put on like the actual like adult anime shows. So like Naruto was a big one. Dragon Ball Z was like my gateway anime. Pokemon.
Oh yeah, dude.
Watched anime for a bit, and then around I want to say start of high school, maybe last year of middle school, I really dropped off a bit because I'm a big boy. I don't need to watch silly cartoons.
Yeah.
And then like around, I want to say 2014, 2015, I jumped back into it. And it's ever since then just been like, I'm a weekly watcher of like new shows popping out, new movies. I've seen a lot of anime films in theaters now.
Oh, hell yeah, dude.
I think I have a good understanding of like what I'm at the point where, like, I know I can look at the art style, like, oh, it's this company. Oh, this is this director directing this episode. Oh, I know the band doing the openings and the endings. I know who the voice actors are. For the Japanese, a lot of the Japanese stuff. So yeah, I've been watching anime for a long fucking time.
Okay.
For people who do watch anime, there's a site called My Anime List, where it's like, go on there, pick a show that you're watching, you can like rate it at like 1 out of 10. So I did that. I'm currently almost at 7,000 episodes of anime watched.
God damn, dude. Okay. I get it though.
Yeah, there's a lot to do. I've only given like 5 shows 10 out of 10s. I think like the rest of them are like 9s and in between there. But
sure. Okay.
But yeah, with these classics of a Ghost in the Shell and then Akira, I think I'd watched these. I want to say years ago, and I was like, there was like on the background like when I was watching Toonami.
Okay, so this wasn't necessarily like a childhood watch. Then it's more of a teenage year kind of watch. Then I'm assuming.
Yes, because I remember I had watched. So Ghost in the Shell had a show called Ghost in the Shell Standalone Complex, and that was my introduction to the show. And I was like, oh, there's a movie, and like in the '90s, it was a lot harder to find like anime on physical media. The library had it all the time, so you go to the library, pick up an anime thing, go watch it. Thankfully, I rewatched them this week for the podcast, and I was like, yeah, these still hold up very well.
Okay, dude.
I can see why they're like classics of like anime films, and more specifically of the genre of cyberpunk.
Yes. That's something we're going to be talking about a little bit this one too, because of course both of these films are in this kind of Neo Tokyo world, if you will. I think one of them literally called Neo Tokyo as well. Funny enough,
Akira is Neo Tokyo.
Yeah, and it's all very reminiscent of Blade Runner. If you guys aren't familiar with anime culture or watching any of that, Blade Runner, and also I know a lot of people dog the hell out of this movie. I still love it, and I think Curtis, you were on for this episode too. It also feels like the Super Mario Brothers movie, the original one in live action.
Yes.
So
when they were trying to be weird about it, the setting when they go is very dystopian future-ish.
Yeah, exactly. So for our listeners, if for whatever reason you have not watched these films throughout your life, but you have watched things like Blade Runner, you really love that world and just all the visuals aspects and how much you can get lost in a world like that. This is kind of the same vein, but with anime culture instead.
Also, for video game players, big game Cyberpunk 2077, heavily inspired by these two genres.
Absolutely. God, dude. I had an ex-girlfriend give me fucking Cyberpunk, dude. That should have been a red flag right there.
Listen, I defend the game. I know it has problems, but I love the game.
Yeah, you can defend it now. That's like my buddy Caleb, dude. He loved Caleb to death, man. And I wish I could defend this game because I went to the midnight release for this thing in 2016 like a dumbass. But No Man's Sky, I don't care how improved No Man's Sky is now, dude. It's way too. It's 10 years too late. 10 years too late.
That's understandable.
But speaking of things a little bit too late, and roughly around 10 years too late too, these are actually first-time watches for me, both of these films. So you guys are going to hear my very basic opinion on these things. But Dakari, I want to touch base with you real quick. Are these first-time watches for you? Did you grow up watching Akira? Did you grow up watching Ghost in the Shell? I know, obviously, with pop culture and with music especially, with we're not going to dive into this one for obvious reasons. I don't want to bring up the heartbreak for either of us. But there is a certain artist that you and I both used to really love and respect that was heavily influenced by Akira. So I'm curious, when was the first time that you watched both of these films?
You know what? I will share a very singular and specific memory attached to Ghost in the Shell. I've never seen Akira. Well, I didn't grow up watching Akira.
Okay.
But I grew up watching bits and pieces of Ghost in the Shell.
Interesting. Okay.
And when I was about maybe 4 or 5 years old, my dad had a burnt copy of it on DVD.
Of Ghost in the Shell. Okay.
Because he used to burn movies for us and all that. So, he showed like the first 15-20 minutes when Makoto Kusanagi's in there and she's raiding the folks, and I was watching it in the living room, and my mom walked in on me watching it in the living room, and she walked in on the part where she took her cloak off.
Yep. First 5 minutes.
Yeah, first 5 minutes, she took her cloak off, and it almost looks as like she's naked, but I mean, she's a cyborg. She's not naked. So my mom automatically saw that. I was 4 or 5 years old at the time. My mom automatically saw that. He was like, "Boy, if you don't cut that off." I was like, "Mom, she's not a real person. It's a robot." She's like, "I don't care. Cut it off." I'm like, "Damn it. All right."
That's great.
She was
dude.
getting good. It was getting good. You know what I'm saying? So I couldn't really finish watching it until I was like old enough to finish watching it. You know what I'm saying? And it's one of those anime movies that has stuck with me ever since.
That's fair. Okay, dude. Like I mentioned, both of these are first time watches for me. I remember when we were in high school and the live action Ghost in the Shell remake was coming out, ScarJo. I was really, really pumped for that movie. Loved the trailers. I was so excited, and I completely missed seeing it in theaters and just never got around to watching it. Had no clue there was an actual, another film that was the source material on top of the manga as well, or the TV show, or even the sequel as well too, until I was probably like 20 or so. It was whenever Mondo released, I think, the 4K steelbook of it, and I saw that at Best Buy back when they still carried physical media. So I got into these both really late on. However, there's a little bit of a rant, and I'm glad, Curtis, you brought up the fact there is a Ghost in the Shell show, because I want to touch the bases on these releases real quick. Sincerely, fuck you, Apple TV, because as I go to search up Ghost in the Shell, I somehow get stuck renting Ghost in the Shell 2.0. I don't know what the fuck that thing is, dude. That is like the most pointless re-release and ugliest re-release I've ever seen. It looks like the Beowulf CGI movie that Robert Zemeckis did. Like it's it's rough,
That
dude.
was a good movie. That was a good movie.
It's a good movie, but it looks awful. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, because like stop motion animation, in that regard was kind of like a new thing. Not a stop motion, but like motion capture. Motion capture was relatively new around that time.
I mean, cool. You know what I'm saying? But like Jar Jar looked better than that shit.
No, the fuck he didn't. Don't lie to yourself.
Okay, dude. Well, let's not. I could defend Jar Jar all day. I'll die on that.
Yeah,
hill.
you can. I don't give no fuck about no damn Jar Jar.
You have that thing now with a lot of anime is a lot of them now move the fully CG character models and stuff. They're getting better, but they're still like not quite there yet with a lot of them. I think probably the best example is a reboot of an old show called Trigon Stampede.
Okay.
Old 90s anime. And you can tell by the animation. Released, God, maybe 1 or 2 years ago, fully CG, and they kind of got the medium on that one pretty good.
Okay, well that's cool.
But yeah, early 2010s CG is kind of wonky.
That's cool, but yeah, 2.0, dude, just fucking weird. It's this hybrid, like, partially remake where they remake certain shots in this 3D element and then sprinkle them through. So it's very jarring going from, like, something that looks like I want to say a PS2 cutscene. That sounds very, very basic. It doesn't look like a cutscene necessarily. It feels like some of the insert shots in the Batman animated series movie with Mr. Freeze, where they also try to implement the use of 3D CGI as well. It feels weird as hell like that. And then you're jumping back to this beautiful hand-drawn animation constantly. It's really weird. Really weird. Of course, there's a live action one like we mentioned. There's a sequel as well, Ghost in the Shell 2, not to be mistaken with 2.0, and then the series as well. So to me, I know we've already compared it to Blade Runner, but Ghost in the Shell really does feel like what Blade Runner's been trying to accomplish in the last like decade or 15 years or so. How Blade Runner keeps planning to have these spin-offs and sequels. I think one show finally did get made. Obviously, we do have, the Gosling and Harrison Ford film, 2049, but like we still haven't gotten that third one yet that's been teased and talked about. And it's just so weird that like this kind of Neo like city, this Neo Tokyo world has successfully been able to pull it off and Blade Runner hasn't. Let's go ahead and dive into the original Ghost in the Shell. Dakari, I'd love to hear your recap since you have such a vivid memory of your mother walking in during that opening scene. So let's hear your recap of Ghost in the Shell.
Oh man, not you want to hear my recap because of that reason alone. That's crazy. That is hilarious. Okay, so the film
Okay, buddy.
It's
Well, real
pretty
sick. You
much.
pulling up IMDb, aren't you?
No. Okay, so the film is pretty much set, I think, like 2029 Tokyo, something
Yeah.
Four
like
more
that.
years, boys.
Oh,
It's
fuck.
fucking crazy. That's fucking crazy. God damn. Shit. Okay, 2029 Tokyo, and it's about this. Uh, she's not police, but she's a major by the name of Motoko Kusanagi, and she's pretty much going, I wouldn't say going off the rails, but while she is taking initiative to investigate the dealings and the escapades of the puppet master who is taking control of partial humans, partial cyborg beings during this time, while she's taking initiative doing that, she's uncovering a lot of things about herself and whether or not she is really human, and that's pretty much what the film's about.
Yeah, dude. And obviously I've already compared this to Blade Runner, but we still kind of see that the same message from Blade Runner as well too in this.
RoboCop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that as well too, man.
Yeah, definitely RoboCop.
No, while both of these are first time watches, I will go ahead and say real quick too, I did watch Akira first. Ghost in the Shell is definitely more recent for me and was my second watch.
Yeah.
But out of the two, and I'm not going to make direct comparisons this whole episode. I don't want this to feel that way. But right off the bat, though, if I am comparing the two of them to start off with, I love the world in Ghost in the Shell. It feels so alive, genuinely, and definitely has that over Akira. I was immediately just drawn in through not even the characters at this point, dude. I also was watching this like with like a fan in the background kind of thing, and like with subtitles on at first too. So like, not the best audio conditions. Didn't even pick up on the robotic voice immediately. Obviously, I could tell she's a fucking android type. Especially with the hardwire scene going on, like 10 minutes after we get the whole jumping naked scene. But I wasn't picking up on the robotic voice right away. I couldn't hear all those minute details. So yeah, what really captured me and locked me in was this world more than anything. It's absolutely gorgeous throughout all of this. Like, there are, I wouldn't say every single shot, but like every landscape shot you get, every bit of the city itself feels like you could frame this on a wall, dude. It is genuinely one of the most gorgeous animated films I've seen. And spoiler for my thoughts on Akira, I feel the same way about that film too. Like, both of these films this week are not just classic anime films, but they both have really, really good world building and beautiful animation for the landscapes, which is very important. Let me go ahead and hear some of your thoughts on Ghost in the Shell, Curtis. I'm super curious because like you watched this bit as a teenager. Let's hear your thoughts on this one.
Sure. So I agree, especially as a big current anime watcher now.
Mm-hmm.
It is so refreshing seeing like these old like Akira's their 80s animation, and then I love 90s style animation for anime. I think it looks so good because most of it is all hand drawn now, and the way they do like just everything just looks so detailed because they have to draw it. I think that's the big thing when you're just especially doing like stuff set in the cyberpunk dystopian future is you got to be able to sell the world. I think Ghost in the Shell does a little bit more than Akira, but like a little bit, is they let the world itself like breathe. Yeah. There's a lot of shots to where like, for example, they're chasing down a criminal they fought, or they're to the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
At a certain point, audio cuts, and it's just him walking down an alleyway, and you just get the ambient like sounds of his foot's hitting the water, and then the sounds in the back.
Yeah.
That's all that is for like a good like 5-10 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And you just let it breathe of like, this is the world, this is how this works, this is the setting they're in. It kind of fucking sucks.
Yeah.
I love Ghost in the Shell. I think it's fantastic. There's a reason a lot of stuff has taken from Ghost in the Shell. Big example for people is like the Matrix Wachowskis took a lot of inspiration from Ghost in the Shell. Obviously the cyberpunk genre as itself, I think finally got its imagery solidified with this movie. Because especially like in the 80s and stuff, we had talked about the genre of like, oh, cybernetic people, we're more machine now than men, and the world just kind of sucks, but we're so advanced. It's really hard to get that like distinction.
Yeah.
I think Ghost in the Shell does it very well of like, here's a kind of a realistic, in quotes, way
Mhm.
of like how we would progress with like scientific means, but regress in a lot of like humanitarian means.
Absolutely, dude. I 100%
And
agree with that.
especially like the main plot throughout the story, like a lot of cyberpunk media does, is like, what does it mean to be like a person? How do you define who I am?
Mhm.
Now that we could literally just build somebody, how do I know that wasn't me and I'm just a thought I downloaded and I put into a chip and now that's me?
I also really like how early on, I'm forgetting the character's name, but it's part of this opening. We're not opening. It's part of this early on chase sequence with this garbage man who is convinced like his wife's cheating on him, so he has to basically like log into her fucking shit to go ahead and find out.
Garbage man.
Like he's checking out her phone number, all that, and he's going through these like telephone booths or these equivalent telephone booths, and scanning a card to go ahead and get more and more of this information. And after this very hectic chase, it ends in this big car crash. The garbage man's trying to warn the guy that he got this card from off the black market, basically, and it ends in this crazy shootout with like this camo invisibility cloak, and just this cool like built up sequence that's lasting like damn near half an hour, dude. And then it's revealed that the garbage man character is also like under the impression, or like has kind of this impression where like, there's false memories, basically. He's not the complete version of himself, even though he is human. So it's this constant battle and questions of what does it mean to make us what we are. And while I do love and appreciate and respect the hell out of Blade Runner for the same message, this film tells it a lot tighter than Blade Runner does, and I can respect that
Way
as
tighter.
well. Way tighter, dude.
Way tighter.
And while I love everything about the world of Blade Runner visually, I love all the miniatures and the matte paintings with that world. Ridley Scott just did a fantastic job. The moments, Curtis, that you mentioned where this world does get to breathe, where we just get to sit with our characters, it's incredible. I'm not even going to attempt to say the main character's name, but Scarlett Johansson's fucking character in this movie, dude.
Makoto Kusanagi.
Yeah, Scarlett Johansson, as she's chilling on the boat, talking to homeboy over there with the fucking glasses. We get like a solid like 10 or so seconds of silence of just them sitting next to each other and
Just contemplating what it means to be a person.
exactly,
Like
exactly,
Bro,
dude.
like, there's a lot of jewels that are being dropped by the characters in this movie. Like, a lot of the dialogue this shit reminded me of The Matrix.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? Where, the characters are really giving you a lot of food for thought when it comes to their context, when it comes to the current state of living. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's really a beautiful world to kind of sink into.
it
You
is.
kind of feel for them in a way.
Yeah, I
You
think
kind
one
of
of the
feel
most
for them.
underrated characters is like the cop that Makoto brings in from the police force. He goes, "Hey, why me?" She goes, "You're an honest cop. You're a family guy. We
Mhm.
like you having you around. Plus, minus like the tiny thing we have in your brain, you're mostly a person with like no robotic
Bro.
on you."
And one thing I picked up on just now, that kind of the way Motoko Kusanagi relates to him is kind of how the puppet master relates to Motoko. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is how genius this movie is because, there's a lot of binary nuances in the film when it comes to like being a human in society and how, two different entities could merge, but then what could that lead to? You know what I'm saying? We talking dystopian stakes here,
Yeah,
right?
dude.
Where could that go?
Absolutely.
It's so layered. It's a lot given to us in only 82 fucking minutes.
I was about to say it's
You know
under
what
a
I'm
half
saying?
hour. Yes, that's my
It
key
is
This
in and
point.
out.
movie is
Tells you a great story.
short. This movie is short, but it gets to the fucking point, bro. That's Ghost in the Shell.
And that's the
Man.
crazy part, because not only does it get to the point as it's short, but it feels like it takes its time with its story as well.
Yeah.
Like the
it does.
pacing
It gives you-
throughout this film is immaculate in my opinion. You get your moments where it feels like a slice of life, where you can really step down to the level of these characters, the citizens of this world, and you get your high intense action. You get your whole chase sequences. You get your big battles in this too. Like this movie really does have it all in a really tight package. It's genuinely impressive. Before we even start talking ratings for this film, Curtis, would you mind talking a little bit about the series that followed this, or the sequel as well? I'm not sure if you've seen the sequel, but I assume so.
Yes, so I've seen the series off of this. I've not seen a lot of the movies from it, but so there is a series called Ghost in the Shell Standalone Complex, which a lot of people who haven't seen the movie have at least heard of the show. It's one of the biggest cultural like anime of like early 90s, early 2000s things. I remember being played a lot on Toonami. I think what that show does, they keep the same quality of like animation throughout it. The characters mostly stay the same, even though technically it is a different timeline from the movie, which is why 2.0 and a lot of the subsequent movies like mix the two and they do different things. The show itself, you do not have to see the movie. It's a standalone show you can watch. Do the same things. I think the show's better.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Because it's like 2 seasons, but they tell like, here's this arc story, boom, here's this arc, but hey, we've still learned the lessons from this previous arc, but we're now answering more questions about like what's going on here.
Sure.
Because if you watch the movie now, I won't spoil it per se, but you've watched it a couple times. Even the title is like a question. It's like, what the fuck is a ghost in the shell? Once you start watching, you're like, oh, I get what they're trying to say by the title.
Yeah.
That's pretty much.
It's insane how like no dialogue is like unneeded. Every line is important to some degree, even if it's like spoken softly.
Yes.
Like, oh, I remember this dialogue. It relates to this, and this, especially towards the end of it. You're like, I get it.
Hell yeah, dude. Oof. Maybe I'll have to check out the sequel or the show following this, dude. Genuinely, because I was blown away by this. Like, this feels like, I don't want to call it a sleeper for me, because I've known for a while it's good. It's like Jaws for me, Dakari. You know, I've known for so many years that, like, Jaws is great. I'll love Jaws when I see it. And just didn't watch it up until last year finally. I know you know that feeling. You just watched it, like, last week.
Yeah, I listen, I just watched it this past month. I went to go see it in IMAX twice.
Yeah.
And the first time I saw it in IMAX was my first time seeing it overall, man. And I'm honestly... I'm so glad I saw that movie in theaters because, like, after the second time, I started thinking about it, and I'm like, I appreciate it more because the characters, like, all 3 characters in that movie, they shouldn't work as well as they do on camera, but they do.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? That's what makes Jaws so special. Not just the shark shit, you know, not just the action, not just the horror, but the fucking 3 main characters, Hooper, Brody, and Quint. Easily 3 of the most iconic characters of all time in cinema history. If you ask me, like, period. Without those characters, that movie would not work as well as it did. Seriously.
They're right there with Scarlett Johansson and Ghost in the Shell for me, dude. I agree.
I need to watch that remake. I heard it was good. I need to watch that.
Oh,
no.
God.
No.
It's not good? It's not good?
Garbage.
Oh,
no.
Don't diss talk my ScarJo, bro. Anyways, let's...
It's twice as long and so boring.
Oh, really? It's like over 2 hours?
It looks good.
Like, it's terrible. Effects are good, but it does the worst thing is fucking boring.
Oh.
Like, I checked out like halfway through. I'm like, this is... How does 82 minutes capture me more than this 2.5 hour fucking movie?
Oh, God.
Hold on.
Dude.
How long is this fucking shit? How long is this damn shit? Hold on. Let me check. Yeah, how long is the remake?
It is about...
It is 107 minutes. That's not bad.
About 2 hours.
No, well, an hour and 47 minutes. It's not bad.
No, but it's crazy to, like, less time, I'm more enthralled. Give it more time, I'm like, this is boring. Because they do that thing where they start explaining the ideas. They start telling instead of showing. And it's like...
they do a lot of explaining in the anime. They do a lot of explaining in that.
They explain, but they don't tell you what they mean afterwards. They explain to you what their thoughts are, but they're like, oh, my thoughts are this because of this reason, and this reason, and blah, 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 blah. It's so unnecessary. The visual effects, I think, did it very well.
Okay.
It's so boring.
Let's go ahead and move on to our ratings for Ghost in the Shell. Like I said, this is the first time watch for me, obviously. You know, there's 1,000 other movies that are going to be on that first time watch list that are going to shock a lot of people. But this one truly does shock myself with how much I really appreciate and love the world of Blade Runner that I just didn't watch this sooner. Because this is very, very similar to that. in a good way. I don't mean to make the comparisons just thinking that this is lazy or like crutches off of someone else's franchise or series, but genuinely, like, if you like the themes, if you like the visuals and the special effects and the storytelling within Blade Runner, I really think you'll like Ghost in the Shell. And so this one for me, this is the best one right off the bat. Obviously, we'll kind of get our thoughts about the second film later on, how that compares for me. But I think I do like this more than Akira, to be honest with you. And I know I think mainstream people really like Akira. It's more of like the popular film. So I'm not too sure if people usually prefer one over the other. But for me, this is the one I'm really leaning towards for this topic at least. Dakar, let's hear your rating for Ghost in the Shell.
Croissant.
Okay. Why'd I even ask? Why'd I fucking ask, dude?
I mean, shit, man. Like, this movie is responsible for so much.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think without this movie we wouldn't have The Matrix, if you ask me. I think early precursors to this is obviously Blade Runner and RoboCop, but this movie is so influential on every level. I feel like the animation in this is a little bit better than Akira, and Akira coming out in 1988 did a lot of crazy shit for animation,
Oh, absolutely.
in general. But this movie right here, I feel like was influential on a holistic standpoint, because a lot of anime entities after this kind of like followed in its footsteps in the way it was animated, the way it was shot, the way it was lit. Like, there's so many different intricate nuances in this film, whether you're talking about from a storytelling standpoint to an animation standpoint to a directing standpoint. I mean, this movie is absolutely transcendent, and it's one of those movies that actually makes you think about what you watched afterward and what it was really about. What did you gather from it? What did it made you think about? It's just I think it's a masterpiece, if you ask me, and it's worth a watch if you're into film. It doesn't matter if you're into anime or not. If you love movies, this is worth a watch, period.
All right, dude. Beautifully spoken. Curtis, take us home with Ghost in the Shell, man. What's your rating for this one?
Same as it's a croissant, my guy.
Mhm.
Like,
there you go.
It's such a tight package, and the stuff you get out of it is like you're in and out. It's a concise story. There's no filler. It's a movie that, because it's so short, you can do multiple rewatches and still get like something new out of it. You're like, okay, I've watched it now. I should watch it again. I'm like, oh, okay. Now I understand this dialogue point. I understand why they did this shot the way they did. I just literally, from everything, I wish stuff was still anime like this, because this animation is gorgeous. I think the last scene where she's trying to rip off the tank and that whole body augmentation starts to come off, I'm like, that seems gorgeous. That's why I think there's a reason it's starting to make rounds again on social media, because I think it still holds up very well. So yeah, it's a pretty perfect movie for me.
Okay, I love to hear
man.
it. I love to hear it.
I think I like it. I think I like it more than Akira, because when you think about, because Akira was an adaptation of multiple different volumes of different mangas, right? And you can tell when you got to that final act of that film, you can feel that cramming in of a lot of different things that was in that final act of the manga. In this movie, you don't really feel that. Like, it still feels like a full package while still being short. It takes its time, even though it's only 82 fucking minutes. You know what I'm saying? I can't say that about Akira. I can't say that same thing about Akira, even though I really liked Akira. I really enjoyed it. But Ghost in the Shell was like no holds barred, like no strings attached. It was concise. It was like straightforward without being on the nose. It's a perfect movie.
Okay.
I've said everything I needed to say.
All right, and I'll go ahead and throw my rating for Ghost in the Shell 2.0. That was the biggest waste of $4.99 on Apple TV. So real sick one, Steve Jobs, for that one.
It's on Amazon, baby.
Oh, is it? God, get fucked. Jesus Christ, dude.
Got it for $3.
Fucking hell. Yeah, well, that's a Jakku for 2.0. That was I don't know what the fuck I was watching, dude. It's not even clear. Like, visually, dude, I was so confused. I felt like I had just woken up and my eyes were foggy. Like, Yeah, I was not a fan of 2.0 from what I saw. But let's go ahead and move on to 1988's Akira. Dakari, I'm gonna have you give the recap for this one as well too, just so you have more experience of this film. You know it. Go ahead, pull that IMDb.
No, I literally watched it for the first time the other day. I know Ghost in the Shell more than I know this shit, man.
I know, but you know what? Pull up that IMDb, brother. You got this shit.
God damn. Okay, bro. Fuck it, man. So apparently,
only the best here at Galaxy of Film.
Okay, so from what I remember, apparently it's about this young kid who's part of a biker gang, and he pretty much gets centered around the conspiracy of Akira. And Akira is pretty much like the prophecy of God in Neo Tokyo around this time. Pretty much God coming back for Judgment Day, and he pretty much gets wrapped up into it after he's experimented on, and this takes place in Neo Tokyo, and some of his good friends, including one of his biker members who was also a really close friend of his, tries to come to his aid and pretty much save his life. But a lot of shit goes down, and we don't know what the fuck is going to go from either situation. And that's pretty much what Akira is.
Yeah, dude. Talking about the world within Akira as well, I definitely also think this is an animated masterpiece when it comes to like every frame. It looks fucking gorgeous through all this. Obviously, or actually, maybe I'm wrong about what I'm about to say. I've never seen the original Tron. So are the light cycles in the original Tron, or is that just the Tron Legacy thing?
No, they're in the original Tron.
Okay, so maybe Tron influenced this film with the light waves. But point being, seeing that in this style and this format is just gorgeous constantly. I mean, I can tell you how many times I've seen the Akira slide done in films before without seeing this movie. And genuinely, this movie makes the bikes feel fucking cool, dude. Like, that red bike is a character in itself, just as much as the Ecto one is for Ghostbusters, the DeLorean is for Marty and Doc and Back to the Future. Like, the bike is part of the essence in this film. And yeah, dude, it's a really weird one because, like, when you dive into movies that kind of deal with prophecy, being the chosen one, or dealing with a judgment day, some form of an apocalypse thing, typically you kind of lose me in these stories. I'm not gonna lie. As big of a fan as I am of Star Wars, you know, and I love Anakin Skywalker, of course, our chosen one to the day I die. You know, I'm burnt out on the chosen one bullshit. You guys know my thoughts on Dune. I want to strangle Paul Atreides so fucking much. I can't stand it, dude. So during this, I didn't feel that necessary, like, tension towards this big prophecal moment going forward in this. But dude, when you get to like the last like half minute or so, that final third of this film where we are seeing the Akira come to life, basically, that take over Tetsuo, and he turns into this massive like blob-ish creature kind of thing. It's insane. Genuinely, it's just almost like body horror sense. Like, if you just take what happened in the substance and turn it on 1,000, that's what happens in this film. But I think more importantly, what I really, really admire of this is the visual representation of like the bomb that goes off in this, and or you know, the bomb that we see obviously from Oppenheimer, the bomb that happened, fucking Hiroshima, dude. Seeing that kind of like brought into this world and seeing another bomb dropped on Japan is it leaves you speechless in a sense, dude. Like, throughout the entirety of that, my jaw was just on the floor. It's the silent, looming presence of death that is inevitable and it's unstoppable. And yet, it's so close you can still see it clearly. You know, and I know it's obviously it's a massive fucking white blob. It's the fucking dome from the Simpsons movie for all I care, you know. It's this massive big circle. But the way it has this weight and the meaning behind it for these characters in this world and this culture is crazy. And it is truly an epic ending with this. We get this moment where these, like, and I don't fully quite understand. There's these 3 fucking kids that are in here doing that. They're fucking there doing shit. They got the Benjamin Button disease. But we get this whole moment where like they sacrifice themselves to go ahead and save Canada. Is that how you say his fucking name, Curtis?
Yes. So the two main characters here is Kaneda, who is the individual who rides the bike everywhere. And then Tetsuo is the child who gets experimented on and turns into the giant like psycho killer. Like I don't want to say killer, but like psycho person.
I'm glad I said it right. God, I'm so terrible when it comes to names.
You are good. Speaking of, did you watch these in either the dub or the sub?
I watch both of these in dub. When it comes to the like the staples that have like an actual following in America, I do like watching the dub version first when it comes to these like main ones.
That is how I watch both of these too.
Okay.
I've seen them in sub.
Okay.
There's one of the few editors where like both are I think very good in the dub. Because Akira has two different dubs. There's the original streamline release, and that was released in like '89.
Oh, okay.
And then 2001 is probably the ones we watched. Is the newer version that has better lip syncing, more faithfully translated dialogue, makes a little more sense, and the voice actors are generally better.
So it is a different cast then for the re-release. Okay.
Cast. Like for example, Kaneda is voiced by Johnny Youngbosch, who plays Adam in Power Rangers. He's a big anime voice actor now.
Oh, cool. Okay. Sweet.
So I recognize him almost immediately. I'm like, oh, I know who that is. I've met him a few times. Super cool. But like this cast is generally a lot better than the original dub cast they did.
Gotcha. Okay. Gotcha. But yeah, dude, when it comes to that whole sequence, that final third of this, just that representation of the bomb is just breathtaking throughout all of this. And of course, seeing what it does to this world, this version of Tokyo, and we get this moment where like our heroes kind of like ride off into the sunset almost at the very end, and it's like the bike's kind of like fucking crippled more or less because of the explosion and all the wrecks happening. It's just crazy to kind of see the aftermath, but yet the same thing kind of happens in this film that happened in history. You know, Japan has not fallen. And I love seeing that there's still a tomorrow for this world and these characters more than anything. I don't know if that's what the director, had in mind when they're writing, or when the writer wrote this film, because this is adapted from a manga, correct?
Yes, it is adapted from the manga, and the whole basis, if you want to go deep into like what everything symbolically is, it's the fear of another nuclear war happening about. Reason of like they do it more with like the like psychic powers and stuff, but it's the whole idea of ordinary people testing things they shouldn't do that could have world-ending stakes.
Yeah.
Hence why he turns into a big explosion at the end. It's another fear of like atomic warfare, that whole kind of a thing. Because the movie opens up, it's like, hey, 1989, after World War III.
Yeah, that is true.
Like,
that is true.
I understand. So it's the whole thing of like, it's the whole of like, don't lose yourself to like just pure scientific advancement. You gotta put some humanity into it, otherwise you're just gonna be a monster at the end of the day. That's the whole like sub theme behind the whole why decisions they made it. So
I got you, dude. God, let me hear some of your thoughts on Akira.
Well, I will say, like I said, I my first time watching it was this year. I want to say, let me go to my letterbox and look right quick. I'm sorry.
Only the best to a Galaxy of film, dude. I swear to God.
June 20th, 2025 is when I watched it for the first time. And I mean, I loved it. I definitely appreciated it, but I feel like it's definitely a movie that is going to require a lot of rewatches. For sure, especially based off of how it ends. You know what I'm saying? It's a very ambiguous ending. It's very open-ended. You don't know where the shit's gonna go, but you know Kaneda is safe and pretty much alive and well in a spiritual sense. And I think that's where the film is most beautiful, in my opinion, because I do think this is a great film. I just think that it requires multiple rewatches to really appreciate it. But I do think it's a great film because there's like Ghost in the Shell. There's a lot of nuances in it. There's a lot to think about. There's a lot of food for thought in it. And don't get distracted by the fucking amazing animation for the time. I mean, this is 1988. You know what I'm saying? It still holds up. Like you could watch this right now, or you could probably say, did this just come out? No, this is 1988. Like, the animation was just so ahead of its time, and the story really pulls you in because it starts off as like this coming of age story almost, but it's really a dystopian apocalyptic story. You know what I'm saying? It's all about it's about people growing up trying to make, you know, the best out of what they're given, but then, you know, of course what they're given kind of just turns against them and they got to make do with what they got.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just all hell pretty much breaks loose, but the people have to make the best out of it regardless, because what use is the city and the people around them and the society around them if they can't make the best out of it and if they can't progress in their own way. You know what I'm saying? That's I think the key takeaway from this movie. It's saying a lot, but it's really um it's really saying a lot specifically about the state of being and people in a confined environment, and it's way ahead of its time if you ask me.
Okay, dude. Beautifully put yet again. We gotta do more of these movies more often, man. You got some good thoughts on these.
Piggyback off that, there's a scene I remember where it's the colonel and the lead scientist guy. They're riding up an elevator, and the colonel's like, "Dude, this place fucking sucks." And the doctor's like, "Yeah, this place kind of sucks." Like, like, what do you mean? He goes, "Well, after all the stuff that happens, we just keep rebuilding. It feels like we're always fucking beaten down." But he goes like, "But you still like want to help the country and stuff." He goes, "Of course I do. I love it here." But what's the point of the way we keep progressing? I think it was like the more we keep progressing, the more these towers look like a pile of garbage, because the people just live like fucking fleas. We're doing enough to survive, but we're barely doing anything to live.
Yeah.
And he's like, "But I want to help change that." And I think that's a very poignant scene that I don't think a lot of people get into. It's like one of my favorites because they're just talking. Because you think, oh, it's the big evil colonel army guy doing experiments. Because like, no, I truly want to help. Here's what these towers represent to me. I know it sucks, but I have hope that humanity will come together like we always do after a tragedy happens.
Yeah, dude.
So,
oh man, let's go ahead and dive into our ratings for Akira. I'm just blown away, Dakari, first off, by not only how good these movies are, but like how long it took me to watch these fucking things, especially with how many influences of Akira we've seen. I mean, even like tying things back, dude. Looking back at like The Dark Knight, he basically does the fucking Akira slide after the whole Joker and semi-truck sequence, Yeah, so for me, my rating for Akira is the exact same as a Ghost in the Shell. This is also a Bespin, for different reasons. As much as I love the story and the essence of what it means to be a human and a Ghost in the Shell, I really do love, what happens if there is another war kind of thing. That the powers that we can, or the uncontrollable forces that we make sometimes. All of those themes in Akira are very powerful, and that whole sequence at the very end of this, dude, as soon as you see that white light just kind of absorb those first set of towers on the horizon, my jaw was just on the fucking floor. Yeah, this is the Bespin for me. Dakari, what about you?
Yeah, I'll give it a Bespin on the way to Coruscant.
Okay.
Sure. I do feel like when you do get to that third act, it does feel like they're trying to cram a lot of what was in the manga at last minute, if you want to say it that way. It feels a little bit rushed. It just feels a little bit rushed. That third act definitely, it does feel that way. But for the rest of the film, man, like, I feel like it did its job in bringing home a lot of the dystopian nuances that not only we become familiar with, but it also reestablished. You know what I'm saying? The animation is top tier, for crying out loud. And I shout out to the people who voice these actors. I'm talking about the original Japanese dub. Shout out to the people who voice these actors, because I really felt for a lot of these characters in this movie because of this. You know what I'm saying? Especially Kaneda. Like, well, not Kaneda. Well, Kaneda too, but Tetsuo for sure. Tetsuo for sure. Yeah. This is a classic, timeless piece of art through and through, and I feel like it'll continuously be studied. Decades upon decades upon decades. It's one of those movies. It's definitely one of those movies that require multiple viewings to really, really appreciate. So that's Akira for me.
Hell yeah, dude. And Curtis, go ahead and take us home, man. Let's hear your ratings for Akira.
Again, same thing as the card. It's the best on the way to Coruscant. I was gonna say it too. I want to say after the breakout in the hospital to about when they get to the football stadium, really fucking drags a little bit. I was like, wow, why am I suddenly taken out of this? I don't, because the stuff I'm watching is good, but I'm like, something about the pacing is really off. Because when you get back to that stadium, you're like, it's snappy again. You're like, it's so more concise. Like he said, could it be just them fitting stuff into the manga that they needed to put in there, or they're trying to add stuff to make the movie a little bit longer? It's about one downside. It is a little long when you compare it to like Ghost in the Shell, same genre, kind of almost do the same storytelling, but way quicker and tighter. Whereas Akira is a bit bigger like source material, and they kind of drag a little. But no, I think everybody did a great job at like voice direction wise. Animation still holds up. Especially when you compare it to like 80s and 90s animation is so vastly different of how 90s tried to get more of a realistic look on people, whereas like 80s and even like current anime standards now, current is like the big anime like round eyes stuff you'd see, whereas 80s do like a lot more like expression, characters are like always moving, talking with their bodies, kind of thing that you see it through a lot of it. But no, best on the way to Coruscant, the last 20-ish minutes between those two scenes drag a little bit. After that, you're getting some fantastic cinema that's still gonna get talked about. There's a reason people are sort of referencing Akira now.
Yeah.
Like it holds up very well.
Absolutely, dude. We will not live a time in our lives where we're not seeing this movie referenced, I feel like. So I mean,
for sure.
Definitely a timeless piece of art, like you said, Akari, by all means. But I think it's going to go ahead and wrap it up, Takari, for this week, as we're discussing some classic anime films. I know next week on the podcast, we're discussing some Adam Sandler movies, kind of diving back into the first guy we've taken a deep dive on the podcast for.
Oh, yeah.
Hell yeah, dude. That's right. Go ahead and rewatch some Grown Ups, buddy. We're talking some Sandler. But stay tuned for
I'd rather rewatch Uncut Gems. Come on, man.
Okay, dude.
No. Jack and Jill. Excuse you, sir. Cinema.
Ah, God, dude.
Okay.
I've never seen Jack and Jill actually in its entirety, but I do love the first Grown Ups movie. I love Grown Ups as much as, definitely not as much as Uncut Gems. I can't lie, but I like it. But you'll hear all of our thoughts next week as we're discussing some Adam Sandler movies. I believe we're discussing Happy Gilmore 2 and The Waterboy. I gotta double check if it's not The Waterboy, then it's either Happy Gilmore.
It's both.
Okay, what's the other fucking movie he did where he's also within sports, dude? Am I tripping? Billy Madison. It's in school. That's why I always get them mixed up with, dude. The three of them, yeah. Jesus Christ. But yeah, next week we're talking Happy Gilmore and The Waterboy. Stay tuned for that. Curtis, it's always a pleasure getting you back on the podcast. I'm so glad we've got you here as our first recurring guest star for season 4 of Galaxy of Film. Where can our listeners find you if they don't follow you already, man?
So they can look over. We've been a bit of a hiatus. Schedule has kind of been kind of wonky, but you find me over at My Anime Podcast, over at Code_0 Podcast, where me and my buddy Nick, we talk exclusively about anime stuff, how it influences the West. Just talk about certain shows, what we're currently watching, influences head on like Western media. We are currently going, once we come back from a hiatus, I want to say early to mid-November, we're going to look at the Avatar: The Last Airbender series and how that takes a lot of inspiration from Avatar. I'm also lucky enough that they're doing Avatar in concert in Detroit here in a couple of weeks that I'm going to go to where they play music from the show with the orchestra.
Fun. Yeah.
I'm excited for that. Other than that, you can find me over at Twitch at twitch.tv/CurtisShack. We are just now starting Claire Obscure Expedition 33. We're a couple hours in, and so far I'm super into it, so just come on over.
Hell yeah, dude. I'm glad you mentioned this too. Real quick for our listeners, speaking of Last Airbender, I don't know if you guys check out our website pretty often, but we now do articles, and we do have an article on our website featuring an interview with the one and only Great Alile from, of course, Avatar: The Last Airbender. So check it out, link down below, written by the one and only incredible Caitlin Simpson. But yeah, dude, good stuff. We got a lot more coming in the future. Like I said, next week we're talking about Sandler. It's always a pleasure getting Curtis back on here. Of course, we'll drag him on here for the next 5 years. He's been here long enough anyways.
Yes, sir.
But, Dakar, I think it's going to go wrap it up for this week, man. You got anything you want to end the episode with? Any special words of wisdom?
Actually, well, I'll tell you what I've been reading lately. I started reading Superman Year One by Frank Miller and John Romita Jr. These guys have been getting me back into the comic book side of things, and I really appreciate it. And I've really been enjoying this little graphic novel here. And yeah, that's about it.
Nice plug, buddy.
Good old crazy man Frank Miller.
We got to plug Frank Miller's
yeah.
book before we plug your own movie. That's that was a chance for you to say it September 19th.
Well, shit. Yeah. Man of the House is supposed to come out really soon. Be on the lookout for that this month. This month for sure. And I do have 2 other films under my belt that I'm really happy to share with you guys. I can't wait to see those for sure.
Oh God, Curtis, I'm so glad you also witnessed that little buffer. That was perfect. Only the best here at Galaxy of Film. Only the best.
Top quality.
Well, for our listeners, thank you so much for sticking around and for listening to this episode. Stay tuned for next week for Adam Sandler episode. If you enjoyed the show, please consider leaving us an iTunes or Spotify review. It truly does help the show much more than you can imagine. And we'll talk to you guys next week. Bye, guys.
You can find all our other podcast, original films, articles, and music on our website, galaxyofilm.com. We're also on Instagram, Threads, Blue Sky, Facebook, YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, and you can join our Patreon for exclusive content and our Facebook fan club for early access to our films.